This podcast is a quest for well-being, a quest for a meaningful life through the exploration of fundamental truth. Enlightening ideas, insights on physical, mental, and spiritual health. The inspiration is love. The aspiration is to awaken new ways of thinking that can lead us to a new way of being well. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Soul Healing Conversations.
Nina experienced herself being stuck in the intellectual space on her self-development journey for about 10 years before she found that missing puzzle piece that would enable her to tap into her true self and make a quantum leap into a completely different life from where she was living before. Through elevating her self-awareness and living with conviction and intention, finding what was missing within enabled her to take massive action and change the course of her life. When you raise your consciousness, you can never undo it, and your life will inevitably get lighter and more fulfilled the further you go on the journey of becoming the one and manifesting your desires. Valeria interviews Nina Olofsson. She is a soul purpose activator, life master coach, and mentor. She helps and serves unfulfilled, sensitive high achievers to tap into their greatness and soul's purpose, finding what is still missing in their life so they can live with passion, purpose, and manifest their inner desires with ease, flow, and loving support. She found her own passion and calling to do this work through her own suffering from the same feeling of lack of meaning and purpose. She suffered from a deep sense of disconnection with herself and with others for a long time before finding what she was missing. She is a highly intuitive and sensitive high achiever in nature and has always cared deeply for people in her life, which caused a people-pleasing behavior in combination with her emotional childhood trauma caused by being neglected as a child and teenager. Even though Nina grew up feeling cast aside and even unloved, she always sought to understand why people act and react as we often do. She was always an observer of behavior and social ways of how people interact with each other. She had a few years of rebelling against being molded into the good, smart girl in school, passing every grade nevertheless. And despite experiencing depression, anxiety, and recurring panic attacks, she endured, and today she finds the good and the deep lessons learned from her suffering. Being highly sensitive and intuitive, you might think that she would have had a good feeling of who she was, but that was not really the case. She knows today that we are on different levels of awareness, and that we can know a lot of things about self-growth, about the ego, about consciousness, about how the mind works on autopilot. But it's a completely different thing to live according to what you know, to practice the things that will make you tap into the greatness within, and to be one with love, to be unapologetically and uniquely you. Nina's journey of becoming the one in her life is far from over, and she aspires to inspire, help, and serve the people searching for that same purpose and fulfillment in life as she was searching for so many years ago. She is today an entrepreneur, life purpose coach, and certified elite performance master coach, coming from a background in the private sector of the healthcare industry. Meet Nina at ninaolofsson.com and ninaolofsson.com/freebie. Here's the interview with Nina Olofsson.
In your own words, who is Nina Olafson?
Yeah, I really love this question because every time someone asks me, who am I? My answer is always a little bit different. And I'm actually very proud of that as well, because I really see life as a journey of learning. So today I would say I am a woman who every single day are working on myself and to be the best version of myself. And I am a woman with a mission to really empower others to be the best versions of themselves as well, and to be able to create the life that we desire by being really in tune with our true self and with our spirit.
Mm. Yes.
And I really believe that the only way to truly see like a global change that we want to see on this planet, we need to change as individuals first.
Wow.
We need to realize that we can create our reality, and when we shift into that positive empowerment by becoming self-aware, we will start to raise the collective consciousness as well. So today I'm really a woman with a mission to better myself and to help others to better themselves as well, so that we can create a more peaceful and loving society and a loving planet.
Yes. That's beautiful to hear. Yeah, I share the same vision for the body-mind complex here, and of course, in everyone else, which I see as body-minds too, at that level, the physical level, but then at the spiritual level, it's one reality. So there's no separation between me and anyone else. I have to ask you the question, how would you describe the true self and the best version of ourselves? Are they one and the same, the ideas you have, or somehow different?
Well, I believe that everything has to start with self-awareness, because we have to realize that we are being conditioned and programmed with all kinds of limiting beliefs and values from growing up that gets into our programming, and that gets us to behave in certain ways and believe certain things that perhaps it's not our own beliefs even. We just go about in this kind of circle of habits. So we really, being your true self is, first of all, you have to become self-aware. You have to realize that the source of you, when you're in spirit or when you're most creative, that's when you're in spirit, and that's when you are in tune with yourself underneath all of that. When you can peel off, or just like through meditation and breath work. I do a lot of breath work with my clients, because that really brings us down to the present moment. It really grounds you, and to be able to observe your thinking, to be able to observe your thinking patterns, and that you can kind of disconnect from your identity by realizing that you are not those thoughts. When you can be in that kind of space between the situation you're in and your thoughts, and what's causing your emotion in that situation, when you can observe that, that's when you are acting intuitively. That's when you're in spirit. That's when you can observe your thoughts without identifying with them. So you're in control, because I believe that when we're in a state of like on autopilot, when we're just acting based on habits and our programming, we are not really in control. We have given up the control, but we have done so innocently also. And that's really important to like shed a light on, because when we're on autopilot, we are acting without really conscious. We're not conscious about what we are thinking and how we are acting. We are just doing it because it's our programming, you know. So being the true self and being authentic is really when you're in control, when you're aware of who you are and your true desires and your true values, what you truly stand for underneath all of that programming.
Yes, I love the message of we are not our thoughts.
Yes.
And that's true. I mean, I would go further and further. We are not our
Yeah.
bodies. We are not the
Yes.
mind. It
Yes.
just keeps going. But the main challenge, because it's so obvious that we miss it, isn't it? We are the
Yes.
awareness of body, mind, and thoughts and all that. That's exactly
Yes,
what we are.
definitely.
Not even who, but what.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's definitely a spiritual message. Is this how you also perceive, understand spirituality? This uncovering of what we are?
Yeah. Yeah, very much. And I see it as, because a lot of people have told me, like, well, that must be so nice for you, Nina, to have those feelings and to feel connected. But I'm not a spiritual person.
Yeah.
A lot of
Right.
people say that, but
Right.
I don't
Right.
believe that.
Hmm.
That's just a belief that people take on. Like, I'm not spiritual, but I believe that every single human being on this planet, we're born pure love. We're born abundant. We're born with this divine soul. We are all spiritual beings in a physical body. And I don't know where I got this from, but someone, I think it was from a TikTok video. And everything is on TikTok. So in my
Yes.
TikTok, I only have like spiritual messaging and
Right.
science and stuff. But there was someone saying that through like all of these devices that we can measure things and detect like how which areas in the brain are active when we think this or that, and but something that we aren't able to detect within us is, where's the captain? Like, who is the being? Where is that soul, that creator, that consciousness that tells the brain to think? We cannot find it anywhere in the brain. So we are more than what we can really prove. We are,
Yes.
yeah, we are so much more than our physical body and what we can like pick up with our senses.
Yes, they are very limited, right?
Yeah.
The mind is a filter. Everything's our sensory perceptions through the body. It's very limited. So that's true. I have another question for you. I know you mentioned the blog post you sent when you have written. You mentioned God, the word God, and you said it interesting the way you said here. You said God knows I have been wanting to just fit in when I was younger. And God knows I have suffered greatly from not doing so. So, what is the relationship? It's when I read, it felt like a personal God in a way, a God that understands you. So, what is your understanding of the relationship between God and consciousness and that which is not attached to anything per se, has no qualities, and it's not personal?
Well, God to me, or actually, I'm using the word source and universe more than I use God. But yeah, in that blog post, I said God, and like we said before, it's to me it's the same. God and the universe, the source, and that is God to me is what connects all of us. And God, like like the Bible says, like God is in everything. And I do believe that there is this mass, this energy that connects all of us and everything with the universe. And that is a force that is always being present, always knowing, always here in this present moment. And it's like we being spiritual beings in this, like with an intellectual mind in a like a physical body experiencing this physical world, It's like we have to, it's like we're being tested with this mind to see what we're here to. I do believe that we're here to explore, we're here to expand, just like nature, just like everything else. But somewhere, somehow, we got stuck. And I do believe, and this is really a conversation I haven't had with anyone before, because it's actually, I don't have like a person to like go this deep in a conversation with. So I really appreciate this conversation with you, Valeria.
Oh, me too. That's why I do this. The deeper, the better, Nina.
Yeah. Yeah, but I do feel that, and when I think back to my childhood and the like suffering that I've experienced, and the depression that feeling forced me into as a child, that came really from that disconnect. Because when we are in our intellectual mind, and going about like in this hamster wheel with our limiting beliefs and pointing fingers outside, always like being in the ego state. We're so disconnected to our source and to our soul and to the universe. So we are stuck. We're actually working against nature and against our own nature, because our own nature is to expand and to grow and to learn and to love. And to, yeah, I believe that we are put on this planet. We are born to experience this world completely different from what we are doing. So that's really, when I found that, it was also so obvious to me that I needed to do some sort of work to help myself and help other people, and in extension, like have an impact on the world to make it better, because we need to do better.
Mm. Yes, by going deeper, for sure. I mean, it has been my path. I know it might not be the path for everyone, right? The path of going deeper into our own nature, basically finding out the truth. That's what my path has been. I'm a truth lover, truth seeker, and I would say truth founder. Found now has been. Yeah, it has been a long, interesting journey. I love the way you say that. Almost in the way you say it's that this is an experiment to see how well we can do having a mind that seems to be of our own, right? Which is not.
Yeah, and the whole concept with like what's true and what's not true, because what people believe to be true are based upon what most people have been conditioned to believe from norms of society and from, growing up from parents. And a lot of times I experiment a bit with asking questions to people and family members and my partner to just see if there's any like grounding, if their opinions about things, if it's like truly theirs. And it's funny because a lot of the times people are like, well, can you stop asking these like questions?
Yes, tell me about it.
Yeah. But I think it's really important to really ask yourself, is this really mine? Is this my own value? Is this something that I stand for? Who am I? And who do I want to be?
Yes. Yeah, that's it. In a way I say you need and all that, but it's in a way I do know that we are freedom itself. So everything is the expression of freedom, of that freedom, fundamental freedom. So it's kind of at that level, at a level we want to change others. We want to make the world a better place. But at another level, from my perspective, everything is how it is meant to be, because it is free. So it can be expressed in every way, even if it comes in form of pain, suffering, disconnection. It's an experience. They are experiences. So we cannot push away experience, right? Because this is what fundamentally this is. We are experiencing this reality.
Yeah, and I do believe that we need to have like both sides of it. We need to be able to feel pain, because otherwise we wouldn't experience love the way that we experience love.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. A very interesting one that I hear. I have heard a lot, interviewed a lot of people, and I talked to so many people also outside of here about these things.
Yeah.
And I hear over and over again from people who have suffered, like I did, with the childhood trauma, as you did, a lot of disconnection, self-inflicted pain, all that. But I'm not really proud of it, or that I'm grateful for what I've been through, because I am what I am, because all the experiences, the bad experiences I had. For some reason, I can't talk this way, but I hear that a lot from other people. So, but that changed, because I remember thinking that way before. But I guess, like you said beautifully, I was taking those concepts from other people. It was not my own really heartfelt truth. And now I don't feel that way. If there's such a thing as reincarnation, I don't want to come back here and suffer again, go through all this so I can, find the truth and feel happy and joyful again and peaceful. No, I want to be here again, if this is the case, already with this spiritual knowledge that we are free, that there's freedom here, that love is present already, that it's not separate from me. Love, joy, peace, and all that. So I love when you talk about innocence, because that's another powerful topic. I remember somebody defining innocence, and he said, innocence knows nothing, owns nothing, and wants nothing. And then I thought about consciousness, right? That's almost the same of God. It would be the same idea. Not for everyone, of course. That's too much of a free kind of a spirit type of thing, a statement. But how do you feel about that, Nina?
Well, when you described innocence, it almost sounded like unconditional love to me.
Yes. Right.
Yeah. And that's what it is, right? A baby, a newly born baby, that's pure innocence, and it's pure love.
It knows nothing, it owns nothing, it wants nothing. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I wonder if we can, I believe in the combination between truth and kindness when expressing ourselves. And I also believe, if it is a belief system, and innocence and wisdom. Because I don't think we can just live. We could, I guess, that open. And there are some spiritual teachers who did that. They were so free from all of this that they would actually lose the body if they had to. If nobody helped them, give them food, no problem. They're just somewhere at peace, who cares? But now that they thought that way, it was just very spontaneous for them. It was like natural to just let go and just give itself back to its source.
Yeah.
But I know that doesn't happen very often. Most of us are still like holding on, right? I got to take care of the body. Oh my God, I got to brush my teeth. I got to do this.
Yeah, exactly. So I really do believe, I love everything about spirituality, but I'm going to hold on actually. And I'm going to be friends with my intellectual mind and do my work through spirit. But I do believe that if your mission isn't to sit like up on a mountain and meditate forever and just feel love, if you want to have an impact on the world, and if you feel like you have a mission or whatever you want to do, I do believe that we need to be in touch with spirit, but we need our intellectual mind, because that's where we can take action, right?
Yes, I absolutely agree. I call it reason in science, but it's the same thing. Science is spirituality, reason in spirituality. Right, the intellect. Yes. I remember being very much so drawn to the idea of the out-of-body experiences, just being, out there all the time and kind of floating around, even with my thinking. Not even, I got myself in trouble many times for sure because of that. So now I learned my lesson.
Yeah, me too.
Not
I
to
can
stay
relate.
there. So talk to me about the work you do. You guide and help others to kind of embrace their own unique journey through healing and spirituality so they can release traumas, limiting beliefs, and embracing who they are by being themselves. So I would love to know more about the approach that you use to get people, to guide people to get there.
Well, yeah, I use, well, first of all, it all has to start with self-awareness. And the people that I work with, they are at a level of self-awareness already. So it's not like they come to me and have no clue about like who they are or their limitations. They are quite aware. So what we really want to do is get really, really clear about what's the identity that you have created and built up to this point, and what's that identity, what's that identity like, what's the core of that, and what's the limitations, what's holding you back. And then really through breath work, I do a lot of breath work because it's so powerful, and the effects are just amazing. Everybody should do breath work to release. So the first step will be self-awareness and get really, really clear. And really, I would say that my coaching style it's loving, vision questing, but I will be completely honest, because I do believe that someone really needs to ask you the hard questions. So I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to give it to you straight. I'm going to ask you questions for you to be able to answer the question for yourself. And after that breath work, we'll do a lot of release work. And most people that I have worked with, they have a lot of emotional trauma. And when people hear that word, they are like, no, I have no trauma. That's not my kind of issue. But emotional trauma, it doesn't have to be like you were beaten as a child. It can be that disconnect like I was experiencing as a child, because that was really causing deep soul level pain in me. So a lot of the people I work with, a lot of people, I believe most people have some emotional childhood trauma from growing up. So I don't like to stay in the past, but I have come to realize that we do need to a lot of times look back to deal with that, to look at it for what it is, and to release, to really release. And then, so awareness, we have to release, and we have to create a vision, like who are you? What do you want? And really looking for, go forward, and really creating like custom-made blueprints throughout the sessions in my programs. So it fits the individual, because we're all different. Yeah, so the tools and techniques that I use are kind of the same, because I do believe that most people, when it comes down to it, the tools and techniques and the stuff that really works in terms of shifting the mind and reprogramming the mind and creating new habits, it's the same kind of tools that work for essentially everyone, I would say. But it can be tweaked. A lot of times it needs to be tweaked to fit the individual.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that. And that has also to do with something that you mentioned about being a highly sensitive person.
Yeah.
So that, I think I talked to somebody, I believe yesterday, about being highly sensitive, if that comes from trauma or trauma actually makes us highly sensitive. Like what comes first?
That's a good question.
Yeah, she said both. what do you think, Nina?
Well, I have actually asked myself this question recently, and I don't really know because I can't remember being born. I don't remember the first years of my life, but for as long as I can remember, I have been highly sensitive. I really picked up on energies, and as a child, up until my teenage years, I was very quiet, very like in the background. I was not really playing a lot with kids, even. I was just very sensitive. I was observing my surroundings, and also growing up with a father that had, what do you call it? He had addictions. Was not very nice to my mother, and my mother was a first generation immigrant here in Sweden as well. So was a lot of emotions that was like, now I can't find the words.
Yeah.
But I was feeling a lot. A lot of emotions and a lot of energies were like hitting me as a child. So I can't really say if it's from that trauma, that emotional trauma that I experienced, or if I was born that way.
Right. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Given the science even behind the patterns, the biological patterns, the DNA and all that.
Yeah.
So that would make sense. Like as a newborn, when we are inside of the womb, and if those emotions are being experienced by our mother, then it would make sense that we would feel them too, because it's part of the same system, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Actually, when I was pregnant, that was very, very important to me, to really be in a good, loving state.
Right.
Because I didn't want to cause any like emotional trauma to my baby that was growing inside me. So,
Yes.
so yeah, in that sense, when that was really something that I was very, very aware about when I was pregnant. Yeah.
That's beautiful that you're aware of that and you did everything that you could not to pass that on consciously.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot that we pass on unconsciously. That's our DNA, ancestor energies, not them. So, but I think it's the awareness. It's when we I think I heard that before, the metaphor about darkness and the light, when it's almost like something that I heard that's not the darkness is the absence of light. That's basically it. So when the light, it's there, it's present, there's no darkness anymore. And I would say it's self-awareness or awareness itself. That's the light.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I talked to so many people, probably picked this up somewhere. But that's a good pickup. That's a good one to have with. I know it's not, some of this stuff that we learn and that we repeat, actually, they resonate because they are universal. Don't you feel that way too, Nina, sometimes?
Definitely. Yeah.
I like love, peace, and all that. It's universal. So when you talked about trauma, that's a question that I often ask here. We talk a lot about emotional healing. Now, as of today, as of this moment, I do feel that all our unnecessary suffering that's coming from negative thinking and trauma and being part of that, it fundamentally has to do with the feeling of being separate from life, disconnected again from, the very core of what we are. But it's an illusion. Isn't that interesting? Because we are not disconnected. We had never been disconnected. Even when we felt disconnected, we are not.
Yeah.
As you said beautifully, there's a part of that blog post that you sent me. I love the way you say that. You said, my unique energy and abilities and talents of perceiving, of talking, of experiencing, of loving, of expressing, of trusting, of simply being me. I was born whole, and I've always been whole, even when I felt broken. I was not.
Yeah.
So that resonated true to me.
Yeah.
But how do you talk to somebody, let's say a client of yours who it's feeling broken, it's feeling disconnected. You know that they are not, but Do you actually say that to them?
Yeah, definitely. I can, yeah, or not like the word by word, but yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely have those conversations, and I try to like teach that bit. And when I really, because like I said before, a client that or a prospect that comes to me or a person that comes to me seeking guidance often have a certain, they are at a level of self-awareness already. So it's not like alien to them when I speak about the ego and the subconscious mind. They can understand it quite easily. So they have, so it's not really hard for them to understand that they are, they have been conditioned and they have limitations, and it's the like working on changing the beliefs about the self.
Yeah.
But when you really know how the mind works in that way, it gets so much easier to kind of look at it through a lens with some perspective, you know.
So it's through the intellect, as you said, they are able to understand the idea, the concept, and then apply that. And eventually becomes a knowledge, because it has to become a knowledge at some point. And then the application of knowledge, that's what I call wisdom. And that's what most people have a hard time doing, including myself a lot of times, is applying what we know already.
Yes.
Right.
And I love that you said that, because, oh my God, what that resonates with me. Because I went like over 10 years. I just gathered so much information. I was like reading all of the books and going to seminars and attending workshops and masterclasses. And I really had all of the knowledge that I needed to like step into my next level version of myself, like to really be who I am today. And but I was missing the whole embodiment. I wasn't able to practice any of it. I was still the same programming. I was still the same Nina with the same habits and same limitations, even though I knew so many things, but I didn't know how to apply them. And it wasn't until I really found my first coach and invested in myself and got the right tools and guidance to apply the knowledge and to embody it.
So we do need guidance, right, when it comes to the application of our own knowledge. That's interesting to notice. That's not, you said that also at the end of the blog post. I'd like to also mention the title of the blog post. It's From the Pits of Hell to Self-Discovery to Reinvention and Self-Love.
Yes.
So you said something, you say, I cannot say that has been easy. The practical and emotional part of it, it's not as simple. So basically the application of all that, it's not easy, and it's not as simple as most people think. And we do need to come from a place of humility, isn't it? To be able to be open to guidance, to be guided by others.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's the beautiful job that I love about coaches and spiritual teachers. Just incredible how much they can help us. I mean, we're basically helping each other to return to love, isn't it? To go back.
Yes.
To go back to a place that we never left in the first place, which is kind of a paradox.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
We're always
we're
here.
Just too, I believe we're just too much in the intellectual mind. Yes. We're too much in the reason. And we're not really feeling into our intuition and to the spirit of us.
Yes, that's it. That's exactly it. And how do we learn to, from your perspective, how do we learn to listen to the voice of intuition? How do we make that distinction, Nina? How do we know the difference?
Yeah, I love the question. And I would put it like this, because I actually made a post about this not long ago, how I see intuition and how you can feel your true intuition and actually what's false intuition. Because I do believe that a lot of the times, if we aren't really aware of our thinking mind, that we can act upon false intuition. And false intuition, if I start with the false intuition, that's the feelings that you get from thinking. And then you're kind of fooled. You're fooling yourself to believe that you're acting upon intuition when you're really acting from thinking, but because our thinking creates emotions. So if you are to be and to feel into your true intuition, then a amazing practice would be just to make a simple, like, take 10 deep breaths and like breathe in through your nose, and when you breathe out, you just how do you say it? Let go of any like negative emotions and feelings, and let go of your mind, let go of the thoughts, and focus on your breathing. And when you are in that space, when you can like not be your thoughts, that's where your intuition that's where your true intuition will come to you, because that's the state of being. Yeah, that's
Wow.
where you're connected, right?
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense to me. I have to say, I'm listening to you and trying to almost like thinking of an example of that. What would be a good example of false? I never heard it that way. False intuition, true intuition. But that makes sense to me because throughout my life, I've been very much kind of misguided by, I couldn't trust my intuition. And so that was false. They were coming from trauma. A lot of the thoughts, a lot of the whatever the mind was asking me to do was just based, informed by my childhood abuses and all that. And then I couldn't trust. At some point, I couldn't trust anything. I couldn't trust myself. That was an interesting part of my life, that not trusting my own self, what was given to me from the inner world. But now that you say that, false intuition coming from thinking, and then true intuition, it's just it's more of a presence type of thing, and it's always
definitely.
here. It's spontaneous. Yes, last night I had a headache. I started, I think, in the morning or something, and then I went to bed with the headache. Because my practice is, you probably heard about, I'm not sure, non-duality, Vedanta. I'm a student of Vedanta. So those are my practices. Have you heard about this Hindu philosophy?
No, I haven't heard about that.
I haven't heard of Vedanta yet. Advaita Vedanta, that's them. It's basically non-duality, one reality that we are. Yeah. This is one reality. There are not two, just one happening. So what I did was, and as an experiment, the headache was kind of, I couldn't fall asleep because the focus was on the pain. It was painful. So I was focusing so much on the pain that I couldn't fall asleep. And then I did the experiment of focusing on what was aware of the pain. What is here that's aware of the pain? Because the pain's not by itself. There's something here that's noticing the pain. And the pain disappeared. And then I fell asleep. And that's how, but I have done before other experiments more radical than this one. But isn't that amazing? Like, it's very simple. It's so simple that we tend to miss, like how is spontaneous, what we call intuition, let's say the fundamental reality, pure consciousness, God is. It's always here, but our attention, the mind goes elsewhere, and that's why we suffer. It really feels to me that way.
Yes, and I resonate with that, because everything that we focus on, if it's good or bad, that's what you will experience. So if you focus on only negativity and bad things that have happened to you, then that's what you will relive. That's what you will keep experiencing. So we have to become aware of the power that we have in our own body and in our own experience, right? Because when we become aware, then we can shift it.
Yes, yeah. That's it. And I don't know if you think the same way, but I kind of subscribe to the idea that it's important to live without thoughts, that we don't need too much thinking, or that we don't need thinking. That's really the philosophy of Zen Buddhism and some spiritual practices, that they go into samadhi, or really high states of meditation, deeper states of meditation. So there are no thought thinking there. And then they feel at peace, one with everything. But I do see, like today in the morning, I was outside and I was just kind of looking at the trees and the sky and the birds and all. And then I felt that the thoughts that appeared, they were very pleasant. They are like music, the most amazing music.
Yeah.
So I don't oppose thinking. It's just the attention, when we give the attention to disconnected thinking, disconnected from that core reality of what we are.
Yeah. And I mean, you are your thoughts. It's just, and like the principles to be able to live a happy life with grace and love, it's really not that hard, the principles.
Yes,
the hard part is to face yourself, to look yourself in the mirror and to really own your reality, to realize that you create your reality and everything that you experience comes from your way of thinking and from your thoughts. But I know from speaking to a lot of people that when they come to realize this, it's so much pain in the realization, because, a lot of people go, they're like half their lives, they realize that, oh my God, I've been disconnected. I've been not living my authentic, true self. And they feel like ashamed almost. So I think it's so important to be kind, to be loving, to really practice self-care and self-love alongside this journey is so, so important, because we don't want more shame or more guilt, or that's really, really important.
Yeah, that's it. That's a beautiful message that you're putting out there, not just as a message, but as a practical tool. Self-love, that's a big one. I started like that, self-acceptance, self-love. That was they were the foundation of my practices of getting into healing and all that. But then now the evolution of that became love itself. I am love. Not the body mind, though. There's a difference between the body mind and what we are. What we are is love itself. And like when you talked about God, so I heard that before. God is in everything. But I heard somebody saying something different. Everything is in God. Everything is in God. So it feels different when I heard that.
When you said that, I was like, okay, I really need to feel into that. Everything is in.
Yeah, when I heard that, I was like, exactly, like there's something that it feels different. Everything is in God. So that means the body mind too. So what you said makes sense to me. So having compassion, self-love for the body mind complex, that has already been created in that sense, in this reality. So we can't really try to destroy it or become different. Some people, they try so hard to look different.
Yeah.
Right? To feel different in their own skin. And that is something that I did it myself, of course. And I say, of course, not proudly. It's just because, like you say, it was the norm. It was everybody was doing that, trying to be what they are not in order to fit in. So what was I getting at with all that? I forgot what we were talking about for a moment.
But what you were saying about everything is in God, I can really relate to that. And as I understand it, it's kind of the same. You only put it in different words.
Everything is in God, or God is in everything.
Yes.
In the end, it is. I guess it is. But I think from the beginning, let's say somebody who is, it depends where you're starting from. I guess I never started from that point that we are physical beings having we are physical beings having a spiritual experience. It was more we are spiritual beings having a human experience, right? Like it has been said again by somebody, I forgot his name now, Conversations with God, I think the author of that book. But that, see, it depends where is the science. It starts with matter, right? It's tangible to them, what you can see, touch, and all that. And then they investigate the truth behind matter and how it works. But then there are some people who, they are looking for the truth too. So we're all truth seekers. But spiritual seekers, people like you and I think we are coming from already consciousness, from the realm of God, that we are, everything is in God. Although we didn't have the words to say that. I didn't have those words, but that's exactly how it started. Like, this is not, I feel there's something here that's not beyond the physical realm, but there's something that overarches, that is observing, that it's a projector of this reality, physical reality per se. I had that feeling for as long as I can remember.
Yes, and I really, really resonate with that. That is exactly my feeling from growing up and how I experienced my outside world and myself. But I couldn't put it into words, like you said. But actually, I had my first massive inner shift before I was 20, and I got those from reading a book, and that sounds just so profound to a lot of people, and in a sense it was. And that book was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, because he was able to put into words and explain the ego. And so I could, in when I read that book, I could just I shifted. I completely shifted, because then I had an understanding what it was that I had been observing in myself and in others. And I could understand the disconnect behind that.
Isn't it interesting that we have no words to express what's already there, what we know to be true? And then it seems like these forms of expression, clear forms of expressing that almost finds us, right? And then a book.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just strikes us. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's I mean, if there's such a thing as evolution, that would be it. The evolution of the soul, the evolution of humans, right? Getting to know themselves, to know what they are. I have to say, I know it's not always perceived from the human experience as beautiful, because ignorance is not beautiful, violence, unkindness, all that. I have to say that's a beautiful unfolding, isn't it? Because it feels like we're all going to experience that at some point. That true knowledge of what we are. It really feels that way, although we're not experiencing this at this moment in this reality with wars and all that. But it really feels like that we are walking toward the path of healing and spirituality, all of us. And not hopefully, together. I really believe that we are doing it together, right? We are not separate. So we're almost at the end of this beautiful conversation. But before that, I do want to ask another question about purpose, because you are a life purpose coach, and you always, the other title that I read about you is Soul Purpose Activator. So with that in mind, what does it feel when we find our purpose in life? What does it feel like? And if life had one purpose only, what would that be?
Can you say the last bit?
Yes, I have two questions in one, so I apologize for having two.
No.
So the first one is what it feels like to find our purpose, to finally live our purpose. Yeah. And the second one is if life had one purpose only, what would that be?
Yeah, so to me, when really and truly finding my purpose was in the realization that, or that feeling of that pull and calling into, or I was just in a state of knowing this is what I'm meant to be doing. This is who I am, and my purpose is to guide and to help and to serve other people into their purpose and their greatness. so that we together can create a better world. So that's my calling. And when I fully stepped into that, was when I fully accepted all of me with grace for everything that I am, with all of me, with the love and the all of me, all of my physical body as well. I love my body. I love my ugly toes. And now I say ugly toes, but that was something that I was like trying to hide from everyone before coming to that point where I just felt this love for myself and for the world. And when I got to that point where I realized that we are pure love, we are connected, but we can experience that we aren't. We just have to realize the conditioning and the programming to tap into that. But I do believe also that we are one and the same. We are all connected. We are all pure love, but we're also unique. We all have something unique about us. We all have like a special gift that you're meant to put into the world by just being you. And that, I believe, comes from a really deep level of self-acceptance and ownership. Yeah.
Wow. Yes, a billion times to
Yeah.
that truth by
Yeah.
being you, right?
Yes.
Would you say that that's the purpose? That would be the purpose of the human experience?
Yes.
To
I
get,
would say that. Yeah.
to embody, right?
To
This being
embody,
you.
to
Yeah.
accept, yes. And to like fully and unapologetically like express who you are. To stand in your power as you are.
And wow, there's a lot of power and empowerment in that when
Yes.
we no longer have the need to reject ourselves, to find answers out there, to be different, to please others.
Yes. Exactly.
Right? When we
you
let
can
go.
step out of that. Yeah, because all of that need to have like someone else validation or a confirmation that you're fine or that you're pretty, or that all comes from the programming. That's all just limiting beliefs. That's not true.
Yes. Yeah. I absolutely agree. Yeah, that's a wonderful journey to embark on.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Nina, for
Thank you. Thank you,
being
Valeria.
you and doing what you do, guiding others to this beautiful place of self-awareness, self-love, self-knowledge, self-realization. And
Yeah.
eventually
Yes.
that'll be the depth of that. But then the who is dropped and that now is the what. Oh, what I am. Not who
Yeah.
anymore. So
Exactly.
thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
before we say goodbye, I know you have some beautiful gifts to give as well. I have the website here,
Yeah.
but I would love for you to talk a little bit. I have the page actually, ninaolofsson.com freebie, and that will be on the podcast notes. But
Yeah.
I know you offer two different kinds. So talk to me about the Queen of Manifestation and the Self-Worth Journaling Guide.
Yeah. So the Queen of Manifestation is really, that's some deep journaling guide shit right there.
I
Yeah.
love the name.
Yeah, thank you. I was really like with the name, I was like, Queen of Manifestation, does it sound like too like coming from the ego? Then it was like, no, this is some powerful journaling manifestation tools right here. So I'm going to call it Queen of Manifestation. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's really as I see it and how I practice now, how I journal to manifest and to attract the things that I want by staying true to who I am and by being uniquely me. That's a 6-step journaling guide for you to really get clear on paper, because there's so much power in writing your thoughts down. Yeah, there's so much power in that. So if you want to manifest like a queen, then feel free to grab that. And I also want to give you my other freebie, Oh my God, I forgot the name.
Oh, yeah, the self-worth journaling guide. Yes,
journaling
I
guide.
have it here.
Yeah, and that's really for you to tap into your heart and to really discover your deepest desires, and also what is like blocking you from fully expressing yourself. So that's a 3-step guide to really get clear and to feel into your heart's desires and letting go of that needing others' confirmation, just to find you and what you stand for.
Right.
So there's 2 really, really powerful guides. So, and those you can just grab. You can just click the link that will be with the podcast episode. Also, if you subscribe to my email list, you will actually, in the welcome email, you will get those through there as well.
Wonderful to know. And I know you have a free discovery session as well that you're offering.
Yes, absolutely.
How is this offering redeemed by email? Yeah, I would love to know, because I wanted to put on my podcast notes too.
Actually, the easiest way to book a strategy session is to go to my website at ninaolofsson.com. And there you will find it. It will be a book a call button. So just click the button and then you will be linked to fill out a form and just pick a time.
Okay, so this will be through your website. So I'll have the website.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll have the website link and also the page with the website and the freebies there. 2 links will be on this podcast notes. Thank you so much again for your presence in this reality.
Thank you so much, Valeria, and thank you so much for being the channel to bring these great messages to the world.
Yes, thank
So
you.
important.
Yes, it is, right? Not just personally, but we want to bring that to others too. So it becomes more of a collective experience.
Absolutely.
So thank you again for everything that you're doing and for all the work that you did on yourself, because that already shows a lot. I really believe by loving ourselves, we are able to love others. So that's coming from all the hard work you have done. The love can be felt. So thank you so much again for that too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take good care and we'll talk soon. We'll stay in touch, Nina. Bye for now.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Nina Olofsson and her work, please visit ninaolofsson.com and ninaolofsson.com/freebie.
To learn more about this podcast, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. Thank you again for listening, and bye for now.